the Unholy Trinity podcast.
The Trinity B-side, tackling the issues within football.
Welcome to the fifth instalment of the Trinity B-side. We've been away for a little while, but we're back with myself, Mike, on my own for this particular episode. But I'm delighted to say I've been joined by the Kit It Out founder, and that's Paul Morgan. Paul, thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Thanks very much for having me.
No problem at all, mate. And we've spoken briefly over the last couple of days in regards to obviously the work that Kit It Out do, and we're going to come on to that, and also the work you're looking to do to try and get the Everton mural set up and get that sorted as well in the city. But for those who don't know about Kit It Out, and this is maybe the first time you've heard about it, just give everyone who's watching and listening a bit of a background into what it's all about and also how it came about as well.
Well, what Kit It Out is it's an organisation, grassroots, not funded by anyone. It was started by myself and my partner, Michelle. And at the time, my partner was doing a uniform collection for kids who can't afford school uniforms. And I'd just come back from football and I noticed there was kids playing on the pitch next to us with school uniforms on. So I was thinking, what would be a better way to try and throw the two together and start collecting kits? And then as soon as we got Facebook and a Twitter going, we were just bombarded with people saying, we've got this kit, we've got that kit, this kit. And bin bags full of kits were sent to us. And then from there, it's just escalated and escalated. And we just go to community centres and youth centres, really, and give the kits to the people who work there. And the kids are over the moon. I mean, you go to some of these places and the poverty you'll see, it's just, you know what I mean? If you're not alive to what is going on in the city poverty-wise, then it'll be a massive eye-opener for anyone who goes there.
Yeah, we said, didn't we, briefly off air then about, sometimes people consciously aren't aware of the poverty sometimes. There's poverty all around, not just our city, but all around this country and further afield. And sometimes, you walk around in a way with, a bit blinkered and your eyes closed because you've got maybe a comfortable life and you don't see what the struggles that families go through. And, for some kids who, can't have a football shirt because we know the cost of football kits nowadays are astronomical. If you want to go out and buy a kid's footy kit, go to the Everton shop, etc. Best part of, say, 60, 70 quid, for your junior kits. And to a lot of people, that's a lot of money. So it's, for me, I understand the price of football kits, but this kind of scheme is absolutely fantastic because this is where, all kids want to walk around and want to play football dressed as the heroes, don't they? And, whether that be, obviously James Rodriguez, who's just come into Charleston, or even across the park, like your Mo Salah, Mane, people like that, all over the city, kids want to dress as the heroes do, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they see them on telly, they want to reenact them like I used to do when I was a kid, you know what I mean? I'd want to reenact who I see on a Saturday, and if you've got a kit to try and reenact whoever you want to reenact, it makes it so much better. And also it's inclusion as well. I mean, as you know, with kids these days, they've all got the newest things, they've all got the newest kits. So if your child hasn't got the newest kit, it's anxious for them to go over and join in case anything gets said or in case they feel left out, type of thing, you know what I mean? So as we said in the place today that we went to the L6 Centre, people will do anything to keep the kids happy, and sometimes you're missing the rent, sometimes you're missing paying for food and all that. But people say, oh, well, if you can't afford it, don't give them it. But it's hard to do. It's hard to do these days because kids want the newest kit, and it's not as a selfish approach. They want. It's just that everyone else has got it, and you don't want your kid to be the one who loses out and misses out. And you shouldn't have to, really. I mean, there's no way. Kits should be 70, 80, 90 pounds now. They shouldn't be that expensive. I mean, going to match has just skyrocketed on price-wise now. But kits should be affordable for everyone.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And we called this show basically tackling football poverty in a way. And the reason it's called that is because of, like you mentioned there, the sheer cost now to support a team is astronomical. And whether that's going to buy a kit, buy a shirt, go and buy a ticket for the game, membership, whatever it might be, it's a lot of money. And it's probably the club's what it is. It's a club's responsibility to tackle this kind of thing. Because you've put yourself out there to organise a scheme with your partner, something which all the kids who've received kits from yourself must be so overjoyed to do so. And obviously, it's such a worthwhile cause. But we should be looking at our club and for other clubs as well to do a little bit more to tackle poverty in a way, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there should be some kind of affordable way for kids to get kits in a way. There should be even just some kind of scheme where parents can pay off from whatever every month or so or something like that, because there's no way you can. I mean, we're talking about one kid. So if you've got 3 kids, you're talking £220. You know what I mean? And that's just a home kit. If the kid comes in wants an away kit, and now you've got kits, you've got training kits, 4 kits. I mean, it's just so much to keep up, especially in these times anyway.
Yeah, it certainly is. And just sort of going back to near the beginning, and since you've grown as well, obviously this city's a great city for helping people out. It's yourself, your testament to the city and the work that you've done. You're from this city, but people in Liverpool will always get behind their own and help out their own. It's been shown time and time again. You say obviously you got bin bags full, when you get onto social media and you started things off, and all shirts start arriving, different sizes, different teams and what have you. But there's also been a few ex-footballers who've backed your scheme over the last few months as well. Just tell people a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, we had Jamie Carragher shared a lot of our stuff, and then he got in touch with us saying, I can give you the kits I swapped with players in my career, and you can auction them off and buy new kits for kids. So that was just amazing. So we had an auction. We had some kits like Drogba, Muller, Franco Baresi, just players that you just, you know what I mean? To me, it was like these players of absolute legends played in this kit. Yeah. So they auctioned it off, and we were going to buy kits for it, but at the time, it was around about when obviously the coronavirus hit, and we went into lockdown, and so we decided we made about over £12,000. So we give the Carragher Foundation 3,000. Michelle, my partner who started kitted out with me, bought kids packs for them to do schoolwork at home, because obviously not everyone's got the right equipment to use at home. And then £6,000 went to Fan Support Food Banks, who we closely work with as well. So it would all worked in. We've had kits from Michael Bowles donated us some match-worn kits, Tony Grant, some kits. So people obviously can resonate to football kits. Everyone loves football. Everyone knows about football kits. So it's a massive market, and people can resonate to getting your first kit.
And you've mentioned there as well, we talk about the wider aspect of this, and obviously the reason that you're doing it, obviously the cost of the kits, and obviously pressures the kids come under to have the latest football shirt as well, of course. But the wider issue as well is, the poverty within communities outside of obviously having to buy football kits, and that's obviously putting food on the table. You mentioned there about supplying educational packs for kids to do the school work at home, because some people unfortunately can't afford to go out and buy that kind of equipment. What have you found, Paul, in sort of recent weeks and months since, like you mentioned, then coronavirus has hit? Obviously, it's impacted on people's jobs, employment. So more and more people, unfortunately, have found themselves without a job. Have you noticed a difference in the local community in terms of more people who are looking for help in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen in this city anyway, so many groups just coming together and just completely changing what they used to do before and revamping the whole system. I mean, we had fan supporting food banks, and another person, Dave Coffey, who turned Costa Coffee into a PPE making facility and got PPE out to people all around the city. There's so many different people who've done so many different things coming together. You've had people from the, obviously, Everton in the community and the Shankly Foundation going to people's houses who had to stay and dropping food off for them. So right now, people are struggling because of furlough and you don't know where you are at work and this type of thing. So, but children don't really understand the situation at the minute. You know what I mean? Obviously, they know what's going on. They know this is not a normal time, but they can't really grasp onto the fact that your mum or dad might not be in work for long and you not getting 100% of your wages, or you might get laid off because there's no work for you, or you're in events and there's no events happening. So things like this, and if your child still sees the new Liverpool kit or new Everton kit coming out and he can't get it, it's just massive stress being put on the parents. So if we can get kits out to them, you know what I mean, maybe it'll just relieve a little bit of stress. It won't relieve whole stress because all we do is get donations in off people and get kits out. But as long as we can relieve a little bit of stress, that's better than not.
Yeah, and you've recently had a bit of a drive, haven't you? A bit of a fundraising drive, because I noticed, I mentioned again off air to yourself, you were working with Capital FM as of today, and they give a little bit of coverage to obviously the work that you do and the fact that you got a lot of donated stuff from someone you know in Everton Academy, and you're also able to you raise some money and got brand new Everton kits and brand new Liverpool kits as well, which you took down to the L6 Centre as of today.
The L6 Centre, yeah. I mean, yeah, we've done obviously a drive to get funds. As soon as I seen the new kits come out and the prices had gone up again, because I had a little rant about it when I first started kitted out and hadn't gone up again. I was just like, we just need to do something here because there's no way people are going to be able to afford these kits. So we done a little drive. We raised £700. So I think we got 15 new Everton Liverpool kits home away and just took them down to the L6 Centre and they'll get them out to people. But that's what it's about, really. It's about solidarity. It's not a charity. It's everyone sticking together and helping each other out in different ways.
And what's the reaction like? You know, I know obviously it's something that we've said at the start, and you know this needs to be tapped from within the clubs really to lower the price of kits, etc. Because manufacturing costs are not that much. Let's get that right. So clubs can do a lot more to lower the price of kits. But what's the reaction like from people in the community and those who receive the kits when they do, you know, get that chance to have their own kit, put it on, and off they go and play football?
It's amazing, as you can imagine. I mean, we've been to places where we've heard stories of like a family of 5 with one football kit between all 5 kids, so they have to use the kit on a different day. Or there's a couple like twins, and one of them has to use the shirt, one of them wears the shorts, and then they vice versa and swap around. I mean, there was a family where a kid had just started a new senior school and he got into the football team, but his mum had to take him out the football team because she had nothing to give him to wear to go to football training. And he would have wore his uniform and then he would have ripped his uniform, and that's just a cycle. She wouldn't have had the money to buy a new uniform. So just the stories you hear, it's just, I mean, before I started this, I thought I had a grasp of obviously the city. There's poverty in the city. Everyone knows that. It's a working class city. Liverpool, Newcastle, places like this, working class, there is poverty in them. But some of the stories you heard of some places that you just never see coverage of, it just, and the people in these areas, the community centres and the youth centres who are just doing stuff for these families, it's amazing to see. It's really unreal the work they do.
Yeah, you can see why it does resonate so much with the people of this city. That's for sure. You know, and listening to you say that about, you know, a kid who, you know, they would have been pulled out of the football, pulled out of the football team because they had no football kit to wear. They would have had to wear the school uniform. What a situation to be in, and that's the kind of thing that, you know, maybe ourselves, you know, I know when I was a kid, I never wanted for football kits. If I wanted a football kit, I got a football kit, football boots, you know, no questions asked, because that was just an expectation of mine that was always met, and I was lucky that my parents could afford to do that. But to hear something like that, it's horrifying, really, you know, and it does really sink in, and there's no surprise for me why people back this campaign, and it's great to hear that so many, of the ex-players from the local area are backing what you do, and long may that continue. But like we said, let's hope that the clubs can do a little bit more in regards to getting those prices down. I think I saw, was it Liverpool have released have they released a match day shirt which cost over £100. So there's two versions of the same shirt for this season.
Again, I mean, imagine the stress of getting 70 quid together if you've got 3 kids, but then you send your kid out with the kit out, and then he comes back in and says, "My mates haven't got the same kit on as me. They've got the higher tier version." Yeah. I mean, and I think I seen on another podcast, I think it was a Liverpool one, they were doing the same type of talk, and they were saying there's a 2-tier system. Families are struggling to get £70, so now you need to get £100 for your kid to still be wearing the same stuff as everyone else. It's unbelievable. And I was reading an article or I've done some research, and the money off the kits doesn't go into the transfer kitty. No. It doesn't fund new players like everyone says. Oh, we need to sell kits at this price because we need the best players. It doesn't go anywhere near that. It doesn't even touch the transfer budget. You know what I mean? It's just ludicrous. There's got to be another way, or you're going to place kids out of football who are living in this city. The kids are not going to be able to afford the kits, and it's their city. You know what I mean? It's their football club. At the end of the day, without the fans, without the kids growing up into teenagers, into adults, and going to the matches, you're not going to have any football team. It's just.
And I think, and you're right. I think I saw the similar article where I think the percentage that teams get from every shirt that they sell is minute. And like you say, people again think, they sell a shirt for say 50 quid, 40 quid going back into the club. Well, that's not the case. That's not how it works. So again, it's having 2 versions of the one shirt causes its own problems, and yet again, like you said, causes more financial pressure for parents to try and meet the demands and expectations of the kids, and it's something which can be avoided. But hopefully, with the work that you do, you are filling the gaps in for those that need and want obviously newer shirts, and it's a fantastic thing that you do, and I admire you for the work that you do. I really do. You put in so much effort, and it's clear to see that. What you do definitely is for the good of people, for people of this city, and I applaud you for that. I really do.
Thank you. I mean, like us, like Transport and Food Banks, we shouldn't exist. We should not exist. There shouldn't be groups like us. At the end of the day, if Liverpool and Everton said, okay, we'll lower the kits down, or we'll let them pay on a system where you pay so much a week, a month, whatever, we wouldn't have to exist. The same with the food banks. There's a lot of wealthy people around. If they just put their heads together, and it would be like 1% of the whole world, put their heads together and you could sort out. People wouldn't have to use food banks. People wouldn't have to. It's like, I think there's more food banks now in this city than McDonald's. I mean, that's just, you would never thought of stuff like that.
No,
it's just chaos.
Yeah, it is, and I think when you see the money in football nowadays, especially as well, when teams are going out and they're paying 30, 40, 50 million pounds for players, etc. The sponsorship deals that they get nowadays, it's astronomical, the amount of money which is in clubs. And to be fair to our club, Everton do a lot of very, very good work in the community, and they're always applauded, and rightly so. We had Everton in the Community special on the B-side. That was the last one that we did, when we had a friend of ours, Dave, who works with the Veterans Hub there, and they do some great work, and he was involved himself in going around when coronavirus hit, dropping off food parcels, mobile phones were getting topped up by them, gas, electric, things like that, again, that we take for granted. They do some really, really great work, and Dave Curtis and Everton in the Community are fantastic at that. But you always think, that clubs, so take away the charity elements of Everton in the Community, clubs can do that a little bit more, get their heads together as a collective Premier League, as a collective EFL, and so on, and try and do more. But it's, while we're in the situation that we're in, and while people are using food banks, unfortunately, luckily, you've got people like yourself who are generous with the time and their effort to help those that really need it. And it's great. I love these kind of things, because it's great to hear people doing so much. And I know you don't do it for any kind of plaudits. You don't want to, any kind of accolades. You do it because you want to do it, and you feel, there's a need there, and you need to do it for the local community. But I love that, and I love to hear these kind of stories, and we'll make sure that in the comments on the video, we'll put out a link to yourselves and your Twitter page, etc. And signpost people to the things that you do. Obviously, when we issue the release the podcast as well, there'll be all links to your page so people can get involved and read about what you do on Facebook, Twitter, and donate and help going forward. And any shares people have got lying around, I'm sure that you'd accept any bin bags full of shirts to help clothe other people who want to get a decent shirt.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem at all. No problem. But we're going to go, like I said, the work you do is absolutely fantastic. And what else you're doing as well, which is going to resonate with Everton fans, is you're currently trying to raise £5,000 to get an Everton mural within the city. Now, this is a very raw subject, this, in terms of Everton fans. You know that yourself. You've seen about 300 Liverpool murals pop up over the last probably 12 to 18 months in various parts of the city, around Anfield, around the city centre. And it does, I say it riles people. Maybe that's too strong a word, but maybe it's not. Because I think people forget that the first club in this city was Everton Football Club. If it wasn't for Everton Football Club, there wouldn't be a Liverpool Football Club. And we're a successful football club, one of the most successful teams in this country. So we should be celebrated as much as them across the park are. But what I want to know, Paul, is what was on your mind when you thought about, I know what I'll do. Let's get a fundraising drive going to get an Everton mural within the city.
Well, I've seen the Liverpool ones, and they're good. And you see people from out the city come and they get photos. They make a day of it. They go and see the mural. They go and watch the match. So there's kids looking up at Liverpool players at their murals, thinking one day, I might be on the side of a wall. I want to, know what I mean? I want to live up to these expectations. But Everton, there's no Everton murals. I know there's Everton murals at Goodison Park, but if we're talking about all millions of Colombians watching Everton now because of James Rodriguez, and we're talking about all Brazilians, and Everton have just started, obviously, Everton pages in Brazil, America, they're trying to get really out there. I don't know why tourists wouldn't come in the city and look for Everton murals around the city, and I don't know why we can't have just as many Liverpool, because you need to be bigger than LL4 in Goodison Park. I mean, obviously Goodison Park's where we play. I used to live there myself. It's an amazing stadium. But if we're moving on and we're talking about bigger things and stuff like that, a mural's not going to take us to any next level or anything like that. It's just going to be good for the fans to see. They can go to it before they walk down to Bramley Moor, or they can go to it before they watch Everton in the pub or whatever. It's just not everyone's into it, but myself, I don't see why you wouldn't paint a side of a wall that's just blank, with something that people can look at, and maybe kids can look at it and think, I want to be them when I grow up.
Yeah, but that's it. And you're totally right in what you're saying. Why shouldn't we have that kind of advertising? Take away the fact that we signed a global superstar in James Rodriguez. But like you say, obviously we are trying to crack that kind of market now. We're trying to obviously crack the American market a bit more as well. But take that away, as to say, we were the first club in the city, so we should be celebrated as much as them across the park. There's no excuse for it. And I think it was on Toffee TV. I think it was last week or the week before. They were discussing, about trying to get a mural because another Liverpool one had popped up. And, like they said, it's difficult for us because when people think about the city of Liverpool, who plays in Liverpool? Liverpool do, because they've got the name of the city within their name. We can't change our name. We are what we are. So straight away, we're almost on the back foot. And that's why we need to have our identity stamped, whether it be within the city centre, just outside, closer to Goodison Park, maybe towards Bramley Moor. We need more of an identity within the city, because we know obviously Liverpool are a successful side. It's thrown in our face what they've won, etc., etc. But as the senior club in the city and the first club in the city, it's our right to have exactly the same treatment. But have you got any idea at the moment? I said before, obviously, £5,000 is what we're looking to raise. I think we were on just over 3,100 was what I looked at before. Yeah, before we spoke today. So have you got any ideas? One, on the design, and two, on a location.
Well, we've been obviously speaking to a lot of people who we know through what we've been doing with Kitted Out and through other good groups and friends we've gathered. You know what I mean? All the way up before even Kitted Out. We've got a developer who said there's 10 properties in town. We can choose one. He'll send us the locations for them. So it's going to be in town, at the town centre. It's not as if I've been saying we're going to put it in town and then it's stalled because no one's given it. We've had pubs in town saying you can throw it on the side of our pub. We've had a lot of offers, you know what I mean? So we're just looking for the right place to put it because we want it to be centre. We want people to see the mural. We don't want it stashed behind loads of cars in some car park or something like that. We want people to be able to see it. The mural's ready. It's already done. The artists are ready to go. We just need to pick a location and we need to get the rest of the GoFundMe sorted out. Everyone is ready to go. Really, it's just a process of time now. And I know times are hard now, as we were talking about before, with coronavirus, the furlough scheme, and so many people have donated to us already. It's just, we will get this mural. Time, it's just the effort of time, you know what I mean? We've raised over £3,000. I think it was in 3 weeks ago. I think I started it, or just under 3 weeks ago. So it's obvious we're going to get the money. It's just, you know what I mean? It's waiting for it to happen now. And when it does happen, I won't let Everton fans down. They'll be absolutely amazed with what we've created. I can guarantee that.
And is there a possibility? Obviously, this 5,000 will go towards this mural, and obviously, you say you've been offered numerous sites within the city centre. Is there a possibility of more than one at some point to get a bit more of a stamp in the city centre?
Yeah, once we get the first one done, if anyone else wants to take the stress off me and find and do a mural, there's locations available for them from Everton fans who own businesses, so they're ready to go.
So and so there we go, a bit of a plea there. So once we get this one up and running, someone else can jump on board and get involved and try and get the second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on, and get more and more Everton themed buildings, should we say, within the city centre.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's a great idea, Paul, and something which is long overdue, and it does take some time, because we've all sat here questioning, going, hang on, why is that one popped up for them? Why is that one? You've got Klopp knocking down the camp in fairness. You've then got Alexander Arnold outside outfield. You've got this mural, and it's just like it's every single week. I think I've seen a new one over the past 6 or 7 weeks, and you're sitting there going, what's happening here? But we need to, like you've done, we need to take action ourselves. I don't know, obviously, what they're doing in regards to their fund, but obviously, somewhere along the line, they're having the idea to do it. Get an artist on board, like yourself has done. Finding a site. So we just need to be more proactive, I think, as a fan base, don't we? Which obviously you've led the way there again. And if we want something, let's try and take it and try and make it happen. It's probably the message that we'd try and put out.
Yeah, I mean, as I've seen, it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not everyone wants a mural. People are saying, "Oh, we don't need murals. We don't need this. We don't need that." There's cities all over Europe and all over South America with football teams on the side of every building, and it just looks amazing watching them going towards the stadium, looking at all these players on sides of walls and that. I mean, if we get the first one done and people are like, okay, that's it, let's jack that. It didn't work, but I'm sure I will change people's opinions who are just like, we don't need any murals, we don't need any of this. I mean, someone said, let's wait until we're successful first. And I was like, you know what I mean?
That's not the attitude, is it? We are a successful club. We have been for many, many years, one of the biggest clubs in this country. So that's not the kind of response we're looking for, is it, to be honest?
No, it's just we've got legends. We've got players who've played for us for so long. You know what I mean? We've got history. It is what it is. There's no way someone should land in Liverpool city centre and not know nothing about football. And by the time they walk through every street in town, know that Liverpool FC exists and not Everton. That just shouldn't happen at all. So we will get it done. And then if people want to criticise, they know where I am. But I'm sure they'll be very happy with what we've created.
Yeah, and like you say, let's hope people who visit the city, part of their weekend or part of their time in the city is, I've heard about this Everton mural. Let's get up there. Let's get a photo, and then obviously then that your job's done, isn't it? Because you're opening the club and the name of the club to more and more people. And I think it's a great idea. I'm fully behind it. And again, we've done a few retweets over the last couple of weeks or so with the link to the GoFundMe page to donate. So anyone wants to donate, again, the link will be out at the bottom of the tweet when the video and the podcast goes out. So you can get involved, donate. Again, times are tough, but if you can spare anything to help Paul out to get this mural done, then please do so. Paul, absolute pleasure to speak to you today, mate. Really enjoyed it.
Same with you, mate. Absolute. Thanks very much for having me on the show. I've enjoyed it myself.
No problem, mate. And keep doing the work that you're doing. As I say, I can't applaud you enough for what you do. I think it's fantastic, and we need more people in the city doing things like you do and being selfless like you are. And we're a much better city for it. So from everyone, thank you.
Thanks very much, mate.
And thanks everyone for watching on YouTube and also listening to the podcast across all our platforms. We are going to be back with the usual Unholy Trinity podcast at some point over the weekend post West Brom. So we will catch you then.